You thought the trembling was everything, but the deepest part comes after. There's a technique that causes spontaneous shaking in the body. It's not dangerous, and it's not mystical. It's ancient. A kind of discharge that releases built-up tension, trauma, and emotional blocks. For those who experience it, it's impossible to ignore. The body shakes from within, as if something old is finally being released. But there's a secret that almost no one talks about. The trembling is just the surface. What happens in the days that follow when you've already gone back to your routine, but start to notice vivid dreams, unexpected exhaustion, or an emotion rising out of nowhere? That is the true core of the transformation. These signs are not side effects. They are responses. The body is integrating what has been released, and it does so in a silent, symbolic, and deeply meaningful way. But without this understanding, many people mistake these effects for imbalance. They think something went wrong. They stop the process. Or worse, they try to force a new technique, when what the body needs most is time. This video is about what no one teaches you, the post-release phase. The sacred space between the trembling and the silence, where your energy learns to reorganize itself on its own. What you feel after the trembling is not residue, and it's not a side effect. It is the body's intelligent response. It is a hidden language, expressed in silence. And if you learn to understand it, everything changes. Because this isn't just about releasing, it's about integrating. It's about giving a new direction to what has been pushed out of the flesh, but still floats in your field. It's about allowing the newly released vibration to find a home and a meaning. This is the point where most people fail. Most seek the intense sensation of the tremor and forget to listen to what comes next. But it's after that moment that the real code is revealed. This space between the peak and the calm is a liminal state, a zone of transition where the body is no longer what it was, but does not yet recognize what it's becoming. And that's exactly why it begins to speak through symbolic dreams, emotional flashes, mysterious fatigue, and sudden insights. Those who ignore these signs miss the gold. Those who embrace them step into another vibrational level. The hidden knowledge lies here. The silence after release is not absence, it is alchemy in motion. And learning to dwell in that space is how you access a power that has never depended on the mind. In Egyptian mysteries, this state was known as the field of Sikkim, where vital energy, once moved, needed to rest and stabilize before it could bring spiritual clarity. In Hermetic tradition, it was called the in-between state, no longer density, not yet light. Thoth taught that true transmutation requires not just the fire, but also the rest that follows, because only rest anchors the symbol. That's what this video brings, the rare skill of decoding the body's silence and using it as a language of reinvention. Staying until the end is not just a choice, it's a passage. There were rituals so intense that the initiate would come out of them as someone who had died and returned. But what those rituals kept hidden was not the ecstasy of the fire, it was the power of the silence that came after. No initiation was complete without withdrawal. No transformation was accepted without the space of the void. In ancient Egypt, the one seeking transmutation was taken into a dark, underground chamber. There, no instructions were given. There were no guides, no voices. The trial was something else to endure the silence of one's own rebirth. That time between the rite and the new name was considered the true sacred moment. It wasn't the ceremony that transformed the person, it was what happened when everything seemed to be over. Hermes Trismegistus called this moment the space between worlds, an invisible territory where the old dissolves and the new has not yet taken form. It is here that the body reorganizes itself. It is here that the spirit chooses whether to inhabit a new code or return to old patterns. Wisdom does not lie in the right, it lies in the pause. The pause is where the teaching descends from the abstract into the visceral, where knowledge stops being a concept and becomes substance. Thoth taught that after every opening, there must be a period of proportional rest. What is not allowed to rest disperses. What is not integrated gets lost. That's why, in the mystery schools, silence was not the absence of sound. It was the vibrational field where truth could echo for the first time without interference. And only those who could endure that kind of listening were deemed worthy of the new name. You have already opened the door. Now you need to cross through, and the crossing is not loud. It happens when you stop searching and begin to assimilate. Once the trembling ends, something extraordinary begins, and few people notice it. The body does not return to its previous state. It shifts in frequency, changes internal roots, and redraws its connections. Current studies on somatic release have revealed a fascinating phenomenon in the hours and days that follow. The nervous system enters a mode of silent reorganization, where old patterns of tension are dissolved and new structures of self-regulation begin to form. The fascia, the connective tissue that shapes our posture and stores our physical memories, goes through a kind of autonomous reconfiguration, and physiological markers confirm it. There is an increase in heart rate variability, a decrease in stress-related hormones, and the activation of deep parasympathetic responses. This has been observed in multiple studies related to the TRE method, developed by David Berceli. After the practice, many people report a series of unexpected effects, vivid dreams, a feeling of reintegration, a strong desire for silence. Science is beginning to understand this not as residue, but as the most subtle stage of healing. Stephen Porges, in his research on the vagus nerve, showed that this reorganization takes place when the body finally feels safe. It is in this state that new neural networks are built and old defensive circuits stop dictating our choices. Nothing needs to be forced, but everything needs to be heard. The body is in an update, not in a pause. And those who learn to follow this process begin to live in a biology that no longer repeats trauma. It transcends it. The release has happened. But if you do not know how to sustain what has been opened, the field collapses and everything returns to the old pattern. That is why the most critical moment is not the trembling. It is what you do with the vibrational space it leaves behind. First step, do not fill it. The ego tends to rush in and fill the newly opened space with stimuli, analysis, or distraction. But this space was not made to be occupied. It was made to be heard. The body is realigning codes that have been dormant for years. Any attempt to control this process now becomes sabotage. So, during the first 48 hours, cultivate an empty presence. Do not look for immediate meaning. Do not force understanding. Reduce both external and internal noise, not as a technique, but as a commitment to the new frequency. Second step, somatic anchoring. Now that the vibration is moving more subtly, the body needs a point of stability, not mental, but physical. Choose a simple, repeatable, and quiet practice. Walking barefoot, leaning your back against a wall, lying down with your eyes closed while breathing slowly. Do not turn this into a grand ritual. The key here is to access the body as a reliable place, not as a tool for spiritual performance. These two steps do not require effort, they require surrender. And that is exactly what makes them powerful. They activate a forgotten kind of trust. the kind that knows the body can always find its way back home. Third step, energetic transcription. After an intense release, the subtle field begins trying to rewrite the narrative that used to hold the trauma in place. But it doesn't yet have articulated language. This is where writing comes in, not as explanation, but as a channel for translation. Take a piece of paper, not an app, and write down whatever comes. Do not edit, do not interpret, do not try to make it coherent. What matters is not the content, it's the vibrational code behind the act. Writing in this state allows the energy to find a voice before the mind has a chance to distort it. Many people feel immediate relief. Others, unexpected revelations. But all of them access something that spoken words could never reach. Fourth step, vibrational ecology. In the days following the tremor, you are energetically vulnerable but not fragile. Your sensitivity expands. You perceive more, you absorb more, which means you must choose what you allow in. Avoid shallow conversations, saturated environments, dissonant noise, not out of sensitivity, but out of vibrational intelligence. Your field is becoming more refined. Protect it as you would a newly consecrated temple. Every external stimulus during these days acts as programming. If you let the noise set the pace, the new frequency will not hold. These two steps, writing as a vibrational mirror and ecology as the architecture of your field, create fertile ground. You are not just healing, you are shaping a frequency you have never lived in before, and that requires discernment. Fifth step, the breath of After embracing silence, anchoring the body, transcribing the vibration, and protecting your field, the time comes to give breath back to the system. We're not talking about the automatic breathing that keeps you alive without you noticing. We're talking about conscious breathing as a technology of vibrational reintegration. This means inhaling slowly, with attention in the lower abdomen, and exhaling for longer than the time it took to breathe in. With each cycle, the body releases defenses. The field opens up. The energy that was once in discharge mode begins to distribute itself intelligently. You do not need to control it. Just be present. 3 minutes of this, each day, is enough to stabilize the new frequency at the cellular level. But pay attention, this is not the end of the process. It is the beginning of living with a new state of being. A body that is less reactive. A mind that is quieter. An energy field that is more selective. And when you repeat the practice, because at some point you will, what happens will not be another release. It will be a deepening, the same trembling, now echoing through inner landscapes that were once inaccessible. These 5 steps are not a method. They are a sensitivity map, an internal cartography for those who don't just want to let go, but want to turn release into foundation. Now, you not only know what happens after the trembling, you know what to do with it. And more than that, you feel that you can. Amelia felt the ground shift when her body began to tremble. It wasn't fear, it wasn't pain. It was something more ancient, as if her bones were remembering a language she had never learned. When it ended, she just stood still. She didn't know whether to cry or sleep. She felt empty, but not broken. For the first time in a long while, she didn't need to hold anything up. But it was the next day when the real part began. There was no loud music, no voice messages, no usual rush. She woke up with a strange lightness and an old sadness resting against her chest. During breakfast, loose images appeared. Her childhood bedroom, her mother's stifled scream, the feeling of being swallowed from the inside. Her body wasn't trembling anymore, but everything inside her was in motion. She tried to make sense of it, but found no words. and she chose not to fight. She did something she had never done. She listened. She lay down on the cold floor in the living room. She breathed slowly, closed her eyes without searching for answers. And there, she felt something she had never felt before. The silence didn't hurt. The silence was taking care of her. In the days that followed, she wrote things she didn't know she knew. Words came out as if they had waited decades for a crack to open. She didn't try to understand, she just let them out. Without realizing it, she started being more selective with the sounds around her. She noticed that certain conversations made her neck tense up. Others opened her chest, and she followed that feeling. Refined instinct, clear field. She didn't become mystical. She didn't become a therapist. She didn't become anything, but the frequency of her life changed, as if her body had turned up the volume on a song that had always been playing, but she had never known how to hear. Look, the biggest mistake is not interrupting the process, it's doubting it while it's happening. After release, many people feel something unexpected, a nameless anxiety, an unexplained heaviness, a sudden urge to give up, as if, instead of healing, confusion had appeared. And that's the exact moment when the old system tries to return. It whispers, "This isn't working. You're not getting better. Maybe it was all just in your head." This is the essential obstacle, the anxiety for an immediate result that can be measured, explained, or externally validated. But what was activated in the body operates on a different frequency, one that doesn't respond to pressure or urgency. The mind wants proof, but the body is not a report, it is a field, and the solution lies exactly there in exchanging expectation for listening. Whenever the old pattern returns with doubt, perform a small anchoring gesture, sit in silence for 2 minutes, place your hands over your abdomen, feel the pulse, repeat internally, "I'm not waiting for anything, I'm inhabiting everything." This simple practice deactivates the need for validation and reawakens trust in the process of integration. You don't need to control the invisible. You only need to hold the field so it can finish its work. Release is not the end. It is just the opening of a crack. The real part begins when everything gets quiet and you choose to stay. You don't need more stimulation. You don't need to force a new technique, search for another key, or dive into another ritual. You need to listen to what has already begun to emerge within. True healing is not proven by intense sensations, but by repeated presence, because it's in the silence that the body begins to tell you who you were before the trauma. It's when the noise fades that the answers rise to the surface. And in that moment, what once felt confusing takes shape, not as a thought, but as a quiet certainty. This video didn't give you a method, it gave you a mirror. And now, the reflection you see is not the same as before. You've learned to honor the space between what is gone and what is yet to come. You've accessed the territory of integration, the one that doesn't shine on social media, but transforms your energy field. Nietzsche once wrote, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." But he forgot to say, after the star is born, you must sustain it with silence. The process continues. The frequency has already shifted, and your body is ready to guide you without hurry, without noise, without pretending. Allow the emptiness to echo. It is within that space that your next form is being sculpted. Noise may heal wounds, but only silence heals identity. If this video resonated with something true inside you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That's how we keep this current of consciousness alive, among those who feel, not just understand. I invite you to write in the comments, I inhabit the space between the trembling and the silence. That phrase is not just symbolic, it is an anchor, a way of sealing, in words, the vibration that this video has activated in you. Share this content with someone who is going through an internal process and doesn't know how to explain what they feel. It may be exactly that silence that needs to be recognized. And don't stop here. Click on the screen and dive into another transformative video from the Transcend channel. Each new insight is a step toward your true vibrational field. You are not lost. You are being reorganized by the silence you yourself have awakened.